My wife came out asexual after 4 years of marriage, so I filed for divorce, and she offered her friend as a replacement. My wife Diana and I had been married for 4 years, and until 18 months ago, everything was fantastic. Our marriage started deteriorating when there was a significant drop in our intimate life. Not emotional intimacy, but the physical aspect. We still cuddled and had deep conversations, but she kept rejecting my attempts to take things further past kissing, since communication had never been a problem for us. I addressed it early, and we talked about making adjustments. About a month ago, she returned from her therapy session and told me she believed she was asexual, which explained her non-existent bedroom drive lately. I was confused because we'd had such a great intimate life in the beginning, but her revelation was heartbreaking since everything else about our relationship was perfect. Obviously, I wasn't going to force her into anything, so we had a long conversation about our relationship, and I concluded that we should get a divorce. She immediately rejected the idea, saying we'd figure something out, then refused to discuss it further. 3 weeks passed without any intimacy, and I decided I had to do this for my own mental well-being. I filed for divorce and had her served with the papers last week. When I got home from work, she was acting like nothing was wrong. I asked if she'd signed the papers, and she flat out said we weren't getting a divorce, then changed the subject completely. I tried explaining that I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of physical intimacy, mentioning that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce terms. She could keep the house we bought and paid for with cash. I'd take all the debt, we'd split savings and investments in half, and she could keep 2 of our 3 paid-off cars. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and want her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make good income, but she won't budge or discuss the divorce. 2 days ago, I got home and went to our bedroom to find Diana's friend completely undressed in our bed. I immediately shut the door, apologized, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked what her friend was doing there, and she said she was there for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said I wasn't sleeping with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant that I could sleep with her friend whenever I wanted, and that her friend had agreed to it. I couldn't believe things had gotten this far. So I went back to our bedroom, asked her friend to leave, packed a bag, and I've been staying in a nearby hotel since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to. This feels like some kind of trick, and I just want this whole thing to be over. Diana came to my hotel the next night and told me the full truth. She's always been asexual, and her whole family has known since she was 16. This was why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended when their intimate life diminished to nothing after the first year. She explained that intimacy is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself, and after a while, she felt violated. I broke down hearing this, kicking myself for not catching any signs. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could, but still doesn't want a divorce. She doesn't want the house, cars, or savings, just me, and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. As for her friend, she was there during Diana's last breakup for support. When I brought up divorce, Diana went to her and her friend suggested opening the relationship, but Diana didn't want me sleeping with strange women, so her friend volunteered herself. My lawyer confirmed I don't need her permission for divorce, but we'll have to wait if I want to push it through. I asked why she'd lied this entire time, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was asexual in past relationships. So she convinced herself she could force herself through our marriage, the hormone testing, couples therapy sessions, and all our solutions were just her buying time to find another way around intimacy or build strength to start regularly being intimate again. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed, crying for hours. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce to look for a solution together, then left my hotel room. A week later, we met at our house to discuss things further. She started with tons of apologies for how she'd acted, her lying about her drive and not taking my needs more seriously. Before I could say anything, she presented a signed post-nuptial agreement she drafted with a lawyer stating she doesn't want anything from our marriage. I felt terrible for thinking she was tricking me for money. I told her I still thought divorce was our best course of action and that we both deserved to find someone who matched our needs. She refused and borderline begged me to reconsider, crying as she spoke. I told her that finding other women to sleep with me wouldn't work, asking what would happen if I developed feelings or got someone pregnant. She said we'd figure it out as we went along and pleaded for more time to work on solutions. There were more apologies on both sides, and we kissed for a while before I returned to my hotel. A few days later, I tried texting her but got no response, so I called her father. He told me she'd moved back home and had been holed up in her room since our talk, calling out of work and barely eating, bathing, or talking to anyone. When I went back to our house, a good portion of her stuff was gone and the whole place felt empty. I've been sleeping in one of the spare rooms, planning to fly to my mother's house in a couple of weeks to spend time with family and decompress from this entire situation. I'm still leaning toward divorce, but I guess there's no rush now.